Hi, my name is Michelle Hewer, and I'd like to share some of my top 10 tips for the UK Global Talent Visa in digital technologies. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Michelle Hewer. I was a UK Global Talent Visa recipient myself. I'm Vietnamese, I'm Australian, and I'm a British citizen as well. I'm now a Global Talent Visa coach after receiving my own endorsement for exceptional talent in digital technology in 2016. And I became the Technation Visa Ambassador for 2 years while I shared my story and helped others along their journey to receiving their endorsement as well. The great thing about the UK Global Talent Visa is that it gives you permanent residency and settlement as well as citizenship. So I received that in 2019. I spent 7 years in the UK, based myself in Manchester and Newcastle, and I travelled very frequently up to down to London to work on my wearable tech startup. I used to be a solicitor before I became a tech entrepreneur. And how this all started was when I received my endorsement and visa, and I wrote a blog about my journey. And that blog became viral. And that's how I started helping so many people over the years in receiving their UK Global Talent Visa endorsements. I've coached over 1,000 tech entrepreneurs, senior execs, employees. My success rate is 90%. Some of my clients have received a result or decision from the Home Office within 3 to 27 hours, and that's a huge achievement. Not all of them do, but those are my best stories when they receive the results so quickly. My clients over the years are very varied. They come from big tech companies to smaller startups, to employees of smaller companies or bigger companies, CTOs, CEOs, VPs, UX designers, game designers, digital marketers, cybersecurity experts. The list goes on. Even though I help people with similar roles, everyone's story is unique and different. And this is why I love what I do. The application is about sharing your story. Everyone has a different story, and it should be told through the evidence that you present in your application. Just a quick disclaimer, I only help with stage 1 endorsements, not the stage 2 visa, because the endorsement stage is not a visa application at all. It's got nothing to do with the Home Office other than you do apply through the Home Office, but it is just an endorsement application. I'm not affiliated with TechNation or Home Office. The only way I'm affiliated with TechNation is I'm part of the alumni group from getting my visa in 2016. So this is about my top tips. I have gathered up some top 10 tips from being a recipient and a coach for the UK Global Talent Visa. First top tip is this process is about selling yourself. You need to be able to sell yourself to convince the assessor that you deserve to be endorsed as an exceptionally talented leader in tech or an emerging leader in tech. If you don't come across as confident in your application, the assessor is not going to see that. So you must write in a very active way to showcase that you are an exceptional talented leader in tech, and this is why the assessor needs to endorse you, and list all your achievements and skills and the impact that you made to the tech sector, to the company that you work for, and potentially to clients that you have served. Top tip 2, focus on your past achievements. You have up to about 5 years of your career previously to showcase what you've done. Obviously, the guidelines provide that you can only go as far back as 5 years. So if you've got achievements, 10 years ago or a lot longer, you can mention it, but it shouldn't be added as part of your evidence. It's part of your story, but not part of your evidence. So I would stick to the last 5 years of your past achievements. Okay, so it might be worth looking at, say now it's 2024, look at from 2019, and then produce evidence that showcases some evidence, from 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So just over a period of 5 years as well, to give a well-balanced view about you and your application. If you only show evidence that's in the last year, the assessor might think, well, what happened 4 years ago? Why are you only showing evidence that's only in the last year? So just be careful, be mindful that that this is the last 5 to 7 years of your career, and to show that there is a sustained track record that you've achieved over a period of time. Okay. Now, even though you've got these past achievements, they will also ask you to talk about your future plans in the UK, but that's only in your personal statement and potentially in your experts letters, where they endorse you to be endorsed as an exceptionally talented person in tech or an emerging leader. And what you want to show is that what you've done in the past is what you may be doing in the future as well, or what you are thinking about doing in the future aligns with what you've done in the past. So if you were, or if you are, say, a product manager, you wouldn't want to say in the future in the UK, you plan to do something completely different, because it doesn't really align with your past achievements, because you're saying that you're an expert, you're an expert in product management, and to come to the UK and to add significant value to the UK is using your product management skills to further develop the UK tech sector, to further enhance the UK tech sector, because you have this particular skill and expertise. What you could say is that you want to go into more senior roles, director level roles in your particular skill. That could be your immediate plans, your 1 to 3 year plans, but then your 3 to 5 year plans, you're looking ahead and saying, well, maybe I want to start my own startup and build products using my product management skills. So that kind of aligns with what your expertise is as well. So just make sure that your past aligns with your future, in the immediate future and also in the long-term future as well. So there has to be a good cohesive story from what you've done in the past to what you're thinking about doing in the future. Okay. Top tip 4, pick your experts carefully. In the guidelines, you need to provide 3 letters from experts in your field. Okay. And these letters by your experts, they need to be an expert in your field to confirm and validate and endorse you as an expert in your field. So they need to understand your work, what you've done in the past, and where you're going in the future. So they need to align with your expertise as well, because they would be the one vouching for your expertise. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't tell a great story if someone has a finance background and who's vouching for your tech skills, because they don't know anything about tech. So make sure that your expert skills align with yours as well. Now, your experts don't also have to be everyone that you've worked with in terms of your managers only in the previous companies you've worked for. Just think outside the square a little bit and have a think about the people that could potentially support you, not only people that you've worked with in your job, but sometimes there are mentors who have known you for, the last 5-10 years of your career. If you're part of an organization outside of your job that you volunteer with or you've worked with to enhance the tech sector in a different way than your day-to-day job, they could be experts as well, because they're vouching for a different type of skill that you have shown by working with them in a different capacity. So have a think about your experts, pick them very carefully. When clients work with me, unfortunately, we have to go through this ranking exercise to determine who's the best expert, who has a great public-facing profile to help you endorse you as an exceptionally talented leader in tech or emerging leader. The assessors not only assess you, but they will also assess your experts. So this is why we must select them very carefully. Top tip 5, talking about experts, they're part of your network. And this process requires you to really rely on your networks, and your network is your net worth. This process has also enabled some of my clients to have a think about everyone that they've been in touch with for the last 5 to 7 years of their career, and reconnect some relationships that they haven't kept in touch with over the years. And this process actually brings them back to contacting those people and reconnecting and reestablishing their relationships, and then potentially using that process to continue to maintain these relationships. And your experts in your networks might offer you a job, or, offer you other opportunities that you would never have thought about had you not reconnected with them for this process. So this process requires you to keep in touch with your experts or your network or people that you've worked with, and just manage those relationships over the years. I know everyone is busy, and I know, I'm busy as well. And sometimes every now and then, even going to events, or if you think about things that might help benefit anyone in your network, reach out to them and say, I'm going to a networking event, or I'm going to this conference. Are you going to be there? Just to keep your relationships going. And that's a really nice way of keeping in touch with your network. Top tip 6. Content is king in this application process, because you're going to have to describe your work, your achievements, your innovations, your impact. So there's storytelling. However, the way you structure your story is extremely important. I've had so many clients put through their application, and it's not structured in a way that's visually appealing, that's exciting to read. Screenshots everywhere, which is fine, but and pictures and or too much text. So if you think about it, at the end of this process, you're going to be producing about an 80-page application. Someone has to read this. And you want to be proud of what you're showcasing. You only get one chance at this, in terms of someone's reading this application, your application, and they're going to make their mind up, and they probably have a checklist. And if it's not nice, if it's not enjoyable to read, or if things are all over the place, it's not visually appealing, it's less likely for the assessor to follow your story and to understand whether or not you fulfill the criteria, and whether or not they will endorse you as an exceptionally talented leader in tech. So when I work with clients, structure is so important. We need to make it as clear as possible that they meet the criteria. There's headings, there's images, sourcing where those images are, explaining what those images mean, how does it relate to you and your work, and to describe in detail what it is that they're looking at and how does it meet the criteria. What I like to do with my clients is say, okay, well, here's an image. If you were to stand in front of a room full of people explaining this image, write it down so that the assessor can follow your story in your application. So pictures, yes, are perfect. Source the image. What is it that the assessor is looking at? Explain it, and how does it relate to you? A lot of people like to just explain what they're looking at, but don't explain how it relates to them and their work, and how does it meet the criteria. That's the key here, and this is why content is king, but structure is queen as well. Top tip 7. Ensure your documents fulfill the criteria. So each piece of evidence, you've got 15 documents, okay, to submit. Each document needs to address the criteria. I always go back to each client and always go back to each document and say, well, look at this document in silo, and how does it meet the criteria that you're putting it against? Does it use the same wording as the criteria? And how does it show that? So, and also, I take a step back, and I also look at the whole application and see how it meets each one of the criteria. And sometimes you also have to reiterate that you are an exceptionally talented leader in tech, and this is why, and this is how it meets each criteria, and this is why the assessor should endorse you. Okay. Top tip 8. High salary. High salary is a huge one, specifically for putting this evidence against the leadership criteria. A lot of people ask me, how do they show high salary, and want the assessor to assess whether or not their salary is high. That's not for the assessor to decide. It's for you to present the evidence for the assessor and convince them that your salary is high. And by doing this, you showcase your salary, and you also showcase what the average person of your skill and expertise is earning. And you would Google or present a report from a reputable salary insights company. And I usually pick 2 because one might be biased. So you have 2 as a backup, and you explain who are the salary insights company, and you would go into researching someone of your skill, years of experience, and what salary they're on, and then obviously compare it to yours. And that proves that your salary is high because the average is less than yours. So This one also is a nice to have. It's not a must have. I have a lot of feedback from assessors about high salary. They don't usually accept it, even though it is in the guidelines, but I wouldn't rely solely on high salary to showcase your leadership skills. I would add that in with a lot of other leadership types of evidence, if not at all. So just be careful with the high salary. Top tip 9, leadership. It's not so clear in the guidelines, but what the assessors are all looking for is that you have national and international recognition in your field. And under the leadership guidelines, you may not notice this and it may not jump out at you, is that there's 2 types of leadership. There's internal leadership, which is leadership within your company, and there's external leadership that you do outside of your company. So it's your thought leadership in the field. A lot of people, probably 99% of people, will have internal leadership because they get paid to do their job. They get paid to lead products, teams, and showcase that they're developing products or selling products and leading the company to success by selling the products or developing products or launching products. But this criteria, showing national and international recognition in your field, isn't really explained through internal leadership. It really gives you that through your external leadership, through your thought leadership in the field, that gives you your national, international leadership in your field. For example, awards, leadership awards that you have won in your own right. So if you have won an award under your own name to say that you're a leader, the award shows national or international recognition in your field. If you are asked to speak at a big tech conference to showcase your expertise about the trends in the industry, not to promote your company, but to promote your own thought leadership, that shows national, international recognition in the field because the organizers asked you to share your insights to the wider tech industry about what you think, giving your insights. Another example is writing blogs and articles about your insights, your expertise, not about promoting your own company. If you were asked as a judge to judge a competition, that's showing your national or international recognition in your field. So those are external type leadership examples, which will hopefully fulfill the national, international recognition in your field criteria under leadership. Your internal leadership within your company won't necessarily show it as much. So this is why I like to focus on not only internal company leadership, but external thought leadership as well. And finally, top tip 10 is this application process is about enhancing or showcasing your personal brand. It's all about telling a story about yourself, who you are, what your expertise is in, and how you showcase your thought leadership to show national and international recognition in your field. And each piece of evidence needs to tell a story about yourself and how it fulfills each of the criteria. And overall, the assessor is going to look at it, and hopefully you can see when you step back, you can really see your personal brand shining through. As I said, content is king, but structure is queen. You want it to be neat. You want it to be tidy. You want it to showcase a story about yourself. You want to be proud of your application, and you want someone to look at it and say, wow, this person is a leader in tech. They're sharp, they're clear, their application is strong, it reads well, it looks nice. So yes, we're going to endorse them as a leader in tech. Their personal branding is spot on. And this is what I help clients do as well. I want them to look at their application once they're finished, their 80 or so pages, and be proud of what they've produced. What a lot of my clients say, it's like a PhD of your career in an 80-page document. And they are so proud of it once they're done with it because everything looks nice. It's well structured. It tells a story. It's visually appealing, and the content is there, and it hits the criteria. So I hope that helps. I hope that's given you a quick snapshot of my top tips, not only as a recipient, but as a coach for the UK Global Talent Visa. For more information, have a look at my website. There's loads of resources available on my website, michellehewer.co.uk. Or if you'd like to email me, please do techvisa@michellehewer.co.uk. Thanks very much, and hope to hear from you soon. Bye for now.